I think the thing that will always shine through is just being genuine. If you really care about something, people are going to be able to tell. They're going to know that you care about it. They're going to know that you're passionate about it.
Welcome to Log Off. Everyone has an internet story to tell, and today we're getting Ben Gravey's. Ben is a semi-pro surfer, a prolific vlogger, a chaser of novelty waves, a purveyor of stoke, a New Jerseyan whose family once hosted Paris Hilton and Nicole Ritchie for an episode of The Simple Life. In 2019, he completed his goal of surfing in all 50 states, yes, even the landlocked ones, earning himself a world record and a tidal wave of followers and subscribers. I'm excited to talk to him about his internet journey and how he keeps it all so positive. Ben, let's start this podcast the way we always do at the beginning. What is your earliest internet memory?
AOL dial-up. Straight up. AOL, you used to get a disc at like Best Buy or something. You'd take it to your house, install AOL, and like it would take 7 minutes to get online.
What kind of stuff were you consuming once you got in there? Were you hanging out in the chat rooms?
Dude, what's crazy is like they had the whole thing, like the layout, but I don't remember visiting that many websites. But dude, chat rooms were hot. Like me and all my friends would go in chat rooms and mess with people, dude. It's insanity.
What kind of trouble were you causing in there? Were you just messing with people or?
Yeah, I have no idea. I wasn't like the main guy in there, but my older brother was a menace. Dude, I wanted to mention, dude, nobody brings up the Paris Hilton thing ever anymore. But that is so funny. That is so funny, dude.
I found it. I went on Vimeo. I found it. I went back and watched it.
That's
right. It's pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
We do our research around here.
That's classic.
Let's make sure we get the Ben Gravey origin story right. When did you actually start like creating and uploading stuff to the internet?
So yeah, my earliest internet usage was like video uploading was YouTube in 2006, right when it came out. I had a number of channels. Some of them got taken down for just whatever reason. Some of them like got deleted because like I forgot the passwords and stuff, how to get into them. And eventually they just got taken offline because I never logged into them. And then me and my brothers had a channel. It was called Nub TV. And we used to do a bunch of like Jackass CKY style stuff on there and surf videos. And then as I got older, so we found some success with that channel. And then as I got older, my interest just grew more towards surfing, and I started my vlog channel in 2016. So that's the channel I've been uploading to since 2016, the Ben Gravey channel.
Yeah, I was going to ask, the Nub TV channel still has almost 200,000 subs. Yeah. Hasn't been uploaded to in years. Like, what made you actually make that pivot? Was it just you wanted to do your own thing?
Yeah, to be honest, I kind of just wanted to do like surf content. And I gave the channel to my brothers, and they were working with it for a little bit, but they kind of just moved on from it too. Just okay. I think we were just tired of being like injured.
Not to keep bringing up The Simple Life, but when I went back and watched that clip, you guys were all wearing Nub merch, which was a pretty savvy move for the time.
Oh yeah, man. When was that? That was a long time ago. Yeah, we had to like get all these releases and stuff to be able to wear like our own clothing line. It's pretty funny, dude.
How did they end up at your house? Like, what is the process of securing that appearance?
Yeah, so that was season 2. So the first season, they just like hung out on a farm for the whole season. And then the second season, they would move every episode. They would go and find a new job, I guess. So the producers like went to Margate and Atlantic City and Ventnor and all around where we live. And they were just asking around like local stores. And one of the stores that they went into was the Heritage Surf Shop in Margate. And I guess they strongly suggested us. But I guess there was a few family in the runnings. But when they interviewed my mom, they were like, what do you know about Paris and Nicole Hilton? And my mom was like, I have no idea who that is. And at the time, they were like the biggest things in show business. So I think they thought that was hilarious. And then just the fact that it was 3 boys and just the antics. So I guess somehow, some way they chose us. Pretty funny, dude.
Yeah, jumping back ahead to your current channel, do you remember when you knew this was something that could be self-sustaining? Was it a specific video that took off?
So I had like a lot of videos. I uploaded every day. So it was kind of like a groundswell effect. Like I was uploading every single day and I wasn't expecting anything. It was kind of more like an experiment to see if I could do it. And I really didn't believe that like this would ever be a career. But at the time, I was working remotely as a video editor and I had the time to do it. And I was like super passionate about like trying to see if I could accomplish just doing this every day. Some videos would start growing like behind the scenes. Like you would see like a video 3 weeks old, like would get like 1,000 views, or then and then I'd get a bunch of videos with small views, like 200 views, 300 views. And then like another one would grow and like, it would just happen over time. And I was uploading so much that I wasn't really paying attention to like every day. I was just always on to the next. But I would say my big break was the first time that I surfed the Cape May Lewis Ferry. It was like the video that skyrocketed. And I think it might have like 200,000 or 300,000 views now. But, and then there was another video just of me surfing like a novelty wave in Longport and in the inlet that like kind of grew overnight and made me realize like, wow, like people are really interested in this novelty wave thing. I think it had like 10 or 12,000 views like in the first 24 hours or something. And like that kind of blew my mind. When I really saw potential for some reason, like as a YouTube creator, you log on and you can see the revenue building up every month. And like sometimes it's a couple $100, whatever. And then it fluctuates heavily, like depending on how many videos you upload, the length, all that stuff. But when my channel hit $1,000 in a month, in a 28-day span, it was like off to the races. I was like, if I can make 1,000, I can make unlimited thousands. And I just started just like believing in it from there. And it was so many factors that played into it. But that first time when my channel was at $1,000, I was like, holy crap, that's real money. I can do this.
So you hit my radar when my friend Brendan, who is a New Jersey surf junkie, he showed me your channel and explained to me the concept of novelty waves. Can you describe what that is and how it differs from like chasing the biggest, baddest waves?
Yeah. So like as surfers, we look at surf forecasts, we look at stuff online, we see waves all over the world and there's famous breaks. And there's like the idea of a perfect wave is offshore wind blowing into the wave as it curls over and barrels. And it's like the most amazing thing when you see a perfect wave. And that's what every surfer is looking for. But that's not the reality for most surfers. The reality for most surfers is onshore wind, choppy, small, not powerful, not great, not sunny out, maybe side shore wind, maybe snow, maybe rain. But for some reason growing up, I always had an interest in like different types of waves. So a novelty wave is, to define it, would be like something that's obscure or different and doesn't happen all the time. So some examples of that are like surfing in a river on a standing wave, surfing on a lake when there's like really hard wind blowing, surfing behind a ferry as it leaves port and it goes by a shallow sandbar and creates a peeling wake behind it, or just anything that's just different, kind of out of the ordinary, because surfers a lot of times we're looking for just that nice, playful 3 to 4 foot perfect peeling wave. But what I kind of investigated with my videos was going to places maybe where people didn't think you could surf, or places where the conditions weren't perfect and they weren't dreamy at all, and showing the experience of what it's like to go surf those waves. So long-winded explanation, but in short, novelty waves are kind of obscure, different types of waves that just aren't generally on people's radars.
You've surfed so many of them. Are you able to give me your top 5 novelty waves?
Absolutely. My favorite novelty wave that I give all the credit for my career is the Cape May Lewis Ferry. When the ferry boat, it weighs like 4,000 tons or something. When it pulls out of port, it goes by a shallow sandbar and creates just this peeling perfect mini little wave. But just so fun, the experience. And then I would say I had the opportunity to go surfing in England in the Severn River, and it was a boar tide wave where the difference in the tide, like in Jersey, the difference in tide is about 5 feet. So like low tide, it pulls out. High tide, you can see the difference. In England, in this particular area, the difference in the tide is 30 feet. So when that tide starts rushing back out, it actually creates a wave on the front of the tide, and you can ride that wave for like miles down the river. So that's definitely one of my favorite waves. And no particular order, because I would say that this is probably my favorite, but I had the opportunity to go in Alaska and go glacier surfing. This is essentially when a big chunk of ice falls off of a glacier into the water, and it lands in the water and creates such a kerplunk that it actually sends waves out, and it created a rideable wave big enough for me to paddle into and catch. There's some river waves, standing river waves out in the middle of the country. Montana is probably one of my favorite locations, and that's kind of a wave where you would mostly see like whitewater rafters come through. It's just a drop off in the river, and it picks back up, and it creates like a standing foam ball that you can just ride endlessly. And my other favorite novelty wave, inside the bay in New Jersey, my local break, El Slammo, the spot.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you for your top 5 surf locations in New Jersey, because that would make a really great breakout clip for our podcast. But our pal Brendan advised me that locals might not appreciate you blowing up their spots. So instead, I was just going to ask about El Slammo. And can you describe like what that is and why you draw attention to it?
Yeah, so El Slammo to me is like my favorite place to surf. To other people, it would not be considered a wave. It's inside the bay, completely wrapped around the other side of the island in Longport. And my whole life growing up, it was not a wave. Nobody ever surfed it. And it was just this random little beach that had like little, I guess like it kind of catches like some swell when there's a storm. But the reason it's so special is because I started going there just like for fun to mess around. And then I started noticing, oh, it's better at this tide. Oh, it's better with this direction of swell. Oh, it's better with this wind. And I started realizing that it actually had some potential. And over time, I actually gained an understanding of how El Slammo works. And I've been able to score some really, really fun, small barreling waves on days when other people aren't even surfing because maybe the wind's wrong or maybe the swell direction's wrong. And El Slammo is a magical place. It comes and it goes. The sand comes and it'll break for a couple weeks, and then it disappears and it's gone. And it'll just be flat bay. And then it'll show back up maybe sometime in the summer. And when every other spot is blown out wind, El Slammo will be clean little barrels. And then maybe 2 weeks later, the sand's gone and it disappears again. So you can never predict it. You can never really time it. You kind of just have to be there. And that's what makes it so special. And that's what makes it my favorite novelty wave and my favorite wave in New Jersey.
So it sounds like nothing will ever top that. But do you have a novelty wave that is on your bucket list that you've not been able to get to?
Yeah, I have a lot. There's novelty waves all over the world, and I've been doing this for a number of years, coming up on like a decade, but I still haven't been able to make it to all of them. There's a tidal bore in Indonesia that I really am looking forward to getting to, and it's just like this amazing wave. It's called the Seven Ghosts, and it's just like a massive, massive clean face that just breaks for miles and miles down a river. And something special. Looking forward to going and surfing it one day.
Let's talk about your successful mission to surf at all 50 states. That's the kind of thing that maybe someone might say they'll do, and then they don't even come close to following through. Can you explain like how that idea came up and how you actually made sure you completed it?
So I started, when I was doing the vlog, I was vlogging every day. And I just started like chasing all kinds of little swells, novelty waves. And I was starting to like generate a little bit of revenue off the channel. So like I had a little bit of freedom to go and try to find waves and kind of just surf. And I was just traveling, and I pretty much ended up surfing like the whole East Coast just because I was like, oh, well, let's go check out what's going on in Ocean City, Maryland. Oh, let's go look in New Hampshire, and let's go find some waves. Let's go find some waves in Maine. And I remember being at a certain point, I was just kind of talking to the camera and I was like, hey, this is kind of crazy, but I think I surfed in like 14 states. And there was like multiple comments on the video that were like, yo, surf all 50 states. Like, yo, if you surfed in 14, you might as well just go surf all 50. And like, I know that they were trolling and just like trying to be funny, but like, dude, I took that idea and I just ran with it. And it's so crazy how it came together because I was chasing the novelty waves anyway. And then I started realizing like, whoa, like every state has a river or like some type of body of water that has wind blowing across it. And it was a mission. It was, and at the time, like my career was kind of just getting started. I barely had any sponsors and it was like really difficult for me to make it happen. So like I would like save up money and I would just go drive out into the middle of the country and like try to hit states as I went. And then I'd be like, all right, gotta send it back home. Like it's time. And I did like a couple different missions. Every spring I would go out because the rivers would essentially the ice melts in the mountains and it makes the rivers flow really well, which creates good standing river waves. And man, it was one of those things where I thought about giving up so many times and I questioned it so many times. And it wasn't like this awesome thing where I was just like ripping it the whole time and it was always positive and stuff. Like there is real moments on that journey where I was just like, dude, what am I doing? I'm surfing the 50 states. Even if I pull this off, who's going to care? So it's one of those things in life that like I never, ever, ever could have imagined the success that would have came from it while I was doing it. But then now when you look at my story, it makes so much sense. But back in the reality, dude, it was like, what am I even thinking? But something inside me just kept driving me forward to do it. And I think kind of once I got over the halfway threshold and I was like finding waves in the Great Lakes and like I realized there's great waves in Pennsylvania and Ohio and Illinois and Minnesota and all these cool things were happening. So it was a passion project that I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. And I eventually made it happen.
I remember cracking up watching your Nebraska video when you arrive at Lake McConaughey, like during a storm and you realize there actually are 4 to 6 foot waves to surf in Nebraska. Was that the most surprising moment of the project or did anything else kind of jump out?
No, I think Nebraska, I say to this day, is my most underrated work I've ever done. And it's just like to this day still makes me just like, I still get stoked going back and watching that video because it's Nebraska. It's the most landlocked state in the United States. It's impossible for there to be waves there. So for that mission, we saw the wind swell and I was like waiting for years. I was like, all right, it's not going to be enough. This isn't enough. It's not the right direction. It's not going to happen, whatever. And I was just watching Windfinder and Windy and just looking at the lake. And we flew to Colorado and then drove 4 hours to the lake. And it's like, that's insane. But when we got there was actually waves and then like the whole thing made sense. And we were just like, this is the moment right here. In my eyes, I do think that is like my best work. I think it ties the stoke of a surf trip, the whole novelty thing, and the idea of just going out on an adventure with no expectations and ending up stoked. I just think it has so many awesome ingredients. And that to me is like, I mean, crazy to say, but that's like the high point of my career in my eyes.
It really is like the perfect YouTube video because there's actually a story arc involved where you're gearing up to go and then the genuine shock on your face is just incredible. When you pull up over that crest, it's so good. You're like a very happy, positive, well-balanced person, which isn't always the case with people who are so focused on capturing vlogs and creating things for the internet. How do you balance like living in the moment versus capturing content, that grind that you always have to be on?
Yeah, dude, I'm not going to say that it's easy. It's really not. And I get sucked into these like black holes of just like too much focus on the vlog. When you start getting sucked into social media and start like thinking that it's real, I think it can like poison your brain. The beauty for me, and the thing that's always brought me back to reality is like, I've never, ever had it in my mind to chase views. I've never been like, I need to get 1 million views. Like if we do this, maybe I'll get 1 million views, or maybe I'll get this many subscribers. For me, it's always been like, this is what I want to accomplish with my time on Earth. And if this gets more people excited about my channel, that's great. If not, I'm very, very happy and fulfilled with where I'm at. And I just want to accomplish this actual thing in the physical world. And it's the flip side of that is that social media is so damn fun. Like the whole thing, filming and editing and creating a project and sharing it, it can drive me into doing so much more and getting out there and trying to tackle these big projects. But I think having the focus for me with real world like challenges, goals, and accomplishing stuff in my real physical life has always been the thing that keeps me balanced. And like, I'll make videos that are really special to me that don't get a lot of views, but it's like, I'm still proud of that project and putting that together, taking that time and sharing it with my friends or family or whoever's involved. So it's a balance. It's definitely not easy.
That makes sense. Yeah, I know a lot of creators who feel like their brains have become rewired, like everything needs to be content. Do you do stuff for yourself that's like off limits to the cameras?
Yeah. So when I first started becoming like successful on YouTube, I was completely obsessed with turning everything into content. And as it's been years, and that will just wear you thin. And I think I've just had signs and lessons along the way that have kind of brought me back down to reality. And I still enjoy filming. I film almost every day. Actually, today is a day that I didn't film anything. And it was actually a really, really nice day. I went for like a 5-mile walk with my wife. And it was awesome. But it would be super boring for a YouTube video. But now that I think there's an acceptance factor of like, wow, this is actually my career and I'm sustaining this career. Like now I can pump the brakes and actually focus a little bit and make better videos as opposed to trying to turn everything into content. So I do, especially I recently injured my bicep and I had to get surgery, the whole 9, like 2 months into the recovery, not even. And I've really been able to focus on home life, taking some time away from social media and stuff. And it's been really good for me. So it's important to take time for yourself when this is your life, especially because you're putting yourself out there every day. It's like there's always going to be critics too. So if you get too wrapped up into your self-worth, relying on like what you're posting online, it can be really unhealthy. So I think just good sense of humor and taking time away for yourself and reevaluating and knowing that there's value in your life besides views, clicks, likes, comments, whatever, is important.
You mentioned your injury you're going through now. That's something you're really transparent about. In fact, I think some of your videos have titles like "This injury almost ended my surfing career." Have you given any thought to what you might do if you were physically incapable of surfing?
Yeah. I toss the idea around sometimes. I'm like really interested in real estate, to be honest with you. Kind of a totally different topic, but I actually I own a rental property, and it's been a really fun process to like buy a house and turn it into a rentable house, and then actually work with a realtor, get it on the market, and have people come and be excited about it. So I don't know, that could be something that I'm interested in. But I also before I did my whole YouTube channel and stuff, I have a background in video production. So I always thought I'd probably just go back into editing or something. Okay. But I think I'd always work with cameras and editing and production. I really enjoy it.
For people who are trying to get where you're at, aspiring adventurous creators, do you have any advice for them on either where to start or how to know it's going well to actually pursue full time?
I would say especially now because it's oversaturation. It's just the internet is insane, as we all see every day when we open our phones. I think the thing that will always shine through is genuine, just being genuine. If you really care about something, people are going to be able to tell. They're going to know that you care about it. They're going to know that you're passionate about it. And that genuine passion for what you're doing. Like, I see videos on YouTube of everything. There's people who do plumbing. There's people who outfit vans. There's people who do landscaping. There's a guy that walks around and knocks on people's doors and offers them free landscaping. There's a niche for anything. The problem is, if you enter into this like, hey, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to become successful off of this, you're already setting yourself up for failure, because if you're not enjoying every step of the way, why would you even do it? Like, I know that like celebrity and is like such a big thing. Influencer is like what everybody wants to do nowadays and all this stuff. But like, in reality, it's a lot cooler to have a job that you love, and it's a lot cooler to make good money doing something that you're passionate about than it is to be famous on the internet. So I think if this is something that you really want to do, you're passionate about it, you see an angle and you're going to enjoy it, I think that you will be successful. And success is always relative. You know, I have people comment sometimes negative things about my channel not being as big as other people's channels. And I'm like, what are you talking about? This is my life. Like, I don't care. Like, I think you're missing that, dude. This is just my life. That's it.
You know, let's say someone does follow that advice and kind of get some momentum there, and they want to actually try to make some money from what they're doing, in addition to like the YouTube creator funds and the YouTube advertising. Like, do you have any advice for securing sponsorships so that they can go out and do more ambitious things and take the next step?
Yeah, I think that you can have a really good idea, right? And you know that it's awesome. But if you can't convey that idea to someone who doesn't have any understanding of what you're about, where you come from, what you're doing, how it's going to benefit them, then there's going to be a disconnect, and people may not have any interest in your awesome $1 million idea. So I think for me, communication has been key. I will get everything down on paper, or I'll create a pitch deck of some kind, just a 1-page piece of paper that has even pictures. People love pictures, or something that explains what we're going to do, how this is going to benefit me, how this is going to benefit you. And then the ability to articulate that to the person and have a real conversation with them, I think is important. Because like, for me, I'm not like a massive influencer. So there's these people out here with millions of followers, and they just get offers thrown at them all the time, and they get to do whatever they want and ask for whatever they want. Like, my work is still work. Like, when I go to a company with a pitch, like, so for instance, we went on this boat trip to Alaska last year, and the boat was expensive. It was like 15 grand. So I was like, okay, if we can cover the cost of the boat, and then the YouTube revenue from the trip's probably not going to cover the cost of the boat. So I need to maybe find some outside help. So I went to some brands and I was like, hey, this is great. And my wetsuit sponsor was one of them. And it made sense because it was cold and it was whatever. And then I added a Ridge wallet ad in there. But like, I was like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is how many videos I'm going to make. This is how many views on average I've been getting on a trip like this. And I believe this is how it's going to benefit your brand. It's going to naturally be integrated into what I'm already doing. So it's going to make a lot of sense to the people who are watching the video. And you can be successful with that. There's a couple brands that turned me down, but there's a couple brands that joined in, and I think everyone was happy. And it's just, it's tying together what you're doing in a natural way with a sponsorship deal. And my promise, I always under promise and over deliver, just because that's the type of person I am. But Yeah, you can make it happen, man. You really can.
Are there specific people that you reach out to? Do you look for a certain title at one of those companies, or have you just made the contacts over time that you can reach out to?
Yeah, I'm not really like a cold caller. I've naturally made the contacts. But if what you're conveying is like something that people are interested in, they will get back to you, whether it's the random email, a random DM, anything. I actually DM'd DJI, the drone company, and I was like, hey, this is who I am. I love DJI. I'd love to work with you guys. And they actually emailed me back. So somehow they found my email and they're like, hey, we know who you are. Like, we saw your DM. Like, we'd love to work with you. And that actually opened up like 2 years of working with that company. And I've made some great videos for them. Their products are awesome. I've been able to use them for the past 2 years. And it was just from a cold call DM, just like, hey, like, I love this. But I think if it makes sense, it's going to work. And if it doesn't, if you're kind of reaching, it might not end up panning out. But you also have to be okay with rejection, I believe. But I don't normally like go outside of my circle of people that I know. And I don't go crazy reaching too far, but you never know. I mean, I know some people that do, and they end up with all kinds of deals. So
it sounds like it's a combination of both shooting your shot and also just making sure the brands kind of align with what you're going for so that they actually see your vision.
Absolutely.
Okay. After you finish a big project like 50 states, or we haven't even mentioned you surfed 7 seas in 7 days. Do you take a break? Like, what does recharging look like for someone who surfs every day?
Yeah. So after 7 seas in 7 days, so like for that trip, just to put it into context, we went to Japan for 6 days. Then we did the trip, which was, we literally surfed 7 seas in 7 days. So we woke up, surfed Japan, flew to Bali, Indonesia, surfed, flew to Melbourne, Australia, surfed, flew to Sydney, surfed, flew back to New Jersey, surfed, and then flew to Norway and surfed. And that was 7 surf sessions in 7 days in a row with a lot of flight time. And then we spent 8 days or 6 days in Norway. And then I thought I was getting good sleep in Norway, actually, because like the trip was over and we were kind of decompressing. But when I got home, I crashed, slept for like 14 hours, 3 nights in a row. And then kind of after 2 weeks, I was chilling, dude. And what happens a lot of time is like, I'll film every day on a trip, but I will only release every 3 days. So those videos will actually be backstocked for like a week or two when I get home. So for that trip, I was chilling for like 2 weeks, like sleeping as much as I could, like just drinking a lot of water, eating vitamin C, stretching, just like dreaming at my house.
You mentioned getting this stuff actually onto YouTube. What does that process look like? Like, you're out there capturing nonstop, but then at some point you have to load it up, edit it, and upload it. How many people are helping you? How much of it is like you want it to be authentic, so you do it yourself?
So for me, the most I'll ever travel with is 2 people filming. It's usually just me and one filmer, and I edit everything. So for me, like throughout the day, I'm like producing the episode, and I'll be like, okay, I know that we're going to go surf. So what's interesting about my morning before we're going surfing? Is it that we got up early? Is it that we packed a lunch for the day and we're showing what's in the lunch? Is it making some coffee, getting people stoked? Like, is it waxing the boards, loading them up? Like, and then surfing. And then like, if we have a break, I'll offload all that footage. And then it'll be like vlog 1942 part 1. And I'll just put Lumix, GoPro, iPhone, done. Put that in a filing cabinet. So then I can move on with the rest of my day. And then we'll start filming again, and we'll do second surf session, get home at night, do the whole thing again. And then usually I'll just start editing that first night that I'm on a trip. Just go right in. 3-4 hours of editing first night. Usually get the vlog done sometime the second day, and I'll be ready to upload it probably like by the second day. Probably like a 3 to 6 hour editing process to get it exported and ready to go.
Are you worried at all about like keeping up with the latest YouTube tips and tricks and things like that? Or is it more, let's make the best video we can, let's make it authentic, and the right people will see it?
Definitely the second one. I don't pay attention to anything. I am just living what I think is entertaining for people. And I believe that, so since I have captured some type of audience, I feel like I have a good idea of what they enjoy. And I think that they are stoked to come along on an adventure as we find good waves or a novelty wave or even get skunked. Maybe we don't end up finding great waves, but I think it's kind of, I've allowed myself to understand, I think, what my place is, if you will. And I think it's kind of that, like, come along for the ride, surf trip, or just hanging out in New Jersey. We're going to go find some waves. Let's go find some waves. And no matter what we find, let's enjoy it. And I think that is kind of what I'm known for. And I think maybe people will tune in to just get that like enjoyment, you know, like, oh, look at this guy going for it again. Like, what's he going to get today? And I think just understanding like what I kind of like what my place is on YouTube. Like, I'm not the big wave guy. I'm not, you know, I'll surf big waves every now and then just so people get a little something different. But just kind of understanding, I think, what my strengths are has been important. And I don't think I've tried to chase some trends. Like, I did a 24-hour in my wetsuit challenge. The video didn't do well. I've done like thought about doing that kind of stuff, and the videos never do well. So I always took that as a sign to just stay on my path.
So this is a pretty broad question, but I feel like you've been on the ground to experience it firsthand. How have social media and YouTube changed surfing and surf culture?
Oh man, so much. Like, when I was making videos in the beginning in 2016, there was no surf YouTube channels. And people thought that I was the biggest kook ever. Like, that I would make like YouTube videos. But like, for some reason, I knew I had this, like, I just felt like there was a missing thing on YouTube. Like, why can't people experience what surfing's really like? For me, in the beginning, all we had was either surf contests or videos that glorified the most epic moments of surfing. And for me, I was like, dude, that's not really what surfing is like. So I started just being like, yo, this is what it's actually like to surf in New Jersey. And sometimes I'd get really good waves and other times I wouldn't. And then that spread to, this is what it's like to surf on the East Coast. This is what it's like to surf in America. This is like what it's like to travel and surf. And it's gotten bigger and bigger. But now it's been amazing to watch these extremely skilled surfers like Jamie O'Brien, who's a good friend of mine, create channels and figure out, because like it was like reverse engineering for me. Like, for me, I knew the production. I had to figure out the surfing. For them, it's they know the surfing. They're expert surfers. They had to figure out how to make YouTube videos. And it's been awesome to just watch it spread. And in this day and age, in 2024, a lot of the most valuable people are people that are creating YouTube videos. And there's so many other aspects of surfing that makes people valuable. But a lot of the people who are kind of guiding, I guess, like some of the culture, there's so many different sides to surfing. So it's hard to say, but a lot of the people who are doing stuff right now are making YouTube videos as well. So it's cool to see.
Let's talk about the concept of localism and how it manifests in surf culture. How do you go about navigating that when you're kind of like dropping into locations and sometimes not for very long?
Yeah. So if it's like a secret spot, I just won't film there. Like, I've surfed plenty of places with people, friends of mine, all kinds of stuff that, if the spot's just like, everyone knows it's a secret, you don't take pictures, you don't film, you don't tell people where it is. That's just part of surfing. But then I've had some other funny run-ins with like heavy locals at spots that are completely not secrets at all. And there's filmers on the beach and all kinds of stuff. And I've had some interesting interactions with people who are like acting like I'm blowing up the spot when it's a well-known spot. And it's just like, dude, I don't know what to tell you, dude. My bad. But yeah, so I think it's important as we move forward with YouTube and filming and stuff, just like I'm very respectful about, like, I never really say exactly where I am unless it's a novelty wave or it's one of my personal spots or something that I found or created. Like El Slammo, I went totally reverse psychology and I just like tried to blow it up because it's not really a wave. So, but yeah, I think it's important as creators, it's our responsibility to still keep secret spots secret and keep the respect in surfing, because like, I don't really care because I surf all kinds of different places all the time. But if you're a guy who's been surfing the same spot your whole life and maybe not many people know about it, it would be unfair for someone to come film it and try to like have more people show up there for no reason. So I just kind of don't really give too many details, and I don't really show too many of the surrounding area of a certain spot or whatever, or I just don't film it at all. But it's definitely part of it. It's something to navigate as you go.
So given all the traveling you've done and having seen pretty much everything this planet has to offer, I have to ask, do you think you'll ever take up permanent residence somewhere other than New Jersey?
Man, I love Jersey. No, me and my wife have just like talked about buying houses. Like, we thought about buying a house in California or maybe even going for a summer and feeling it out, but nothing really came of it. I do like Florida. It's a great place. My family has a house down there, so I visit there often, but man, there's just something about New Jersey. It's awesome.
Couldn't agree more. All right, let's get into our stupid internet questions we ask everybody. Mr. Gravey, right now, how many tabs do you have open on your web browser of choice?
Dude, just one. The podcast. Should have asked me that like right before we started rolling.
Yeah, I was going to ask what the typical number is.
Oh, yeah, I'd say like 6 to 10, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when we get to like episode 50 or something, we're going to make a little leaderboard. So I guess you'll be at the bottom with one.
Dude, I have OCD about that. I'm someone, I close all the apps on my phone and I close most of my tabs unless I'm actively using them.
That's impressive. When you open your social media apps, what are the algorithms feeding you right now?
Man, so many dachshund videos, all dogs. Because I got a dog like a year and a half ago. So all dachshund videos, and probably more than 50% of them make me cry, I would say.
Oh, man. Yeah, we have a beagle, and that's like all I get is beagles now.
It's great.
They know. Favorite accounts to follow on social media?
Man, interesting. You know what I really enjoy? Barstool Sports, dude. I just watched the mini golf tournament that they did. It's a riot, dude. I love it. It's great.
A corner of the internet people might be surprised you're interested in.
Zillow.
Oh, well, you just said you're into real estate, so
yeah. It's funny because I don't really talk about real estate that much on my vlog or anything, but man, I'm on Zillow all day. All day. I know.
Is that all aspirational stuff or stuff you actually are looking to buy?
Yeah, mostly like just seeing, I'm kind of like feeling the temperature of the market. Like technically I'm ready to buy something, but like, I don't think I feel like doing it right now. It's nuts out there. So I'm always like, all right, I'm always looking for a deal. Let's say that.
Yeah. It's hard in Jersey, man. Stuff goes before it's even officially on the market. It's crazy.
Gnarly, dude.
What is the last thing that made you truly laugh online?
Online. Oh, man, there was something that I watched today, and I was actually laughing out loud. Oh, dude, there's this guy. He's in like an 80s zip up suit, and he gets this old jet ski, and they back the trailer down, and he like goes in the grass, and then he's driving across rocks and stuff. I'm sure you'll see it in the next couple of days. And he like smashes the end of it and jumps it out of the river into like a cornfield or something. Dude, it is hilarious.
Can you send that to me? I want to watch it.
Yeah, I will.
All right. Let's get into the dark side. What was your most scarring moment on the internet, if you can bring yourself to disclose it?
Whoa. Wow, dude. I don't
Brought
know.
the vibe down. I'm sorry.
No. Lemonparty.com, dude.
Oh, Jesus.
But once again, my older brother sent it to me when I was younger, and I was like, stuff exists? Like, how do they let people look at this?
I think I had not thought about that for a few years, so thanks a lot.
That's
it's just seared into like a corner of my brain, and it's never leaving.
That's really funny, dude.
How do you pry yourself away from devices or log off? Any tactics?
Man, that's interesting. I usually put my phone upside down and I turn my laptop completely off, because if they're on, I'll start seeing the notifications in the top, or I'll see the notifications on my phone. But I like give myself something to do, get out of there for a little bit. Phone's tough though, especially like since I hurt my arm, dude. It's been a journey, but I've been leaving my phone at home to go outside and go for like a couple mile walk, and it's been nice.
I'm sure it helps when you're out in the water, or do you have some contraption that makes it so you bring it out there with you?
No. I'm just out there just with the waves. That's how I look out there. Dude, when I'm going surfing for a day, like I barely go on my phone at all.
That's
and
great.
It's such a nice, refreshing like ode to when we were younger and you would just go play outside all day. But I think that's why surfing's so special for so many people. You get to completely disconnect.
Do you think that's kind of a mental health hack? Like almost like a meditation to get out there and just not be absorbing things?
Yeah, well, dude, like in the water, you're so far away from, it's hard to get that far away from like a building in this day and age. It's hard to get that far away from a Wi-Fi router, from a phone, from noise, from whatever. But I think the benefits of surfing for mental health outweigh anything else that surfing has to offer. I think it's amazing. It just gives you that feeling. Like it's almost like a better version of like earthing, you know, like when you like stand on the grass in bare feet or whatever, like grounding. It's like a better version of grounding because you're immersed in it.
Sounds like you would be just fine, but where would you be without the internet?
I'd probably have a TV production job somewhere in New York, to be honest.
Okay.
Like just editing. I love editing. What
is the one thing on the internet you'd save if it all went goodbye tomorrow?
My dog's Instagram account. Dennis the Dachshund.
So the internet is gone and no one can see it, but it's somehow living out there. That Instagram account.
Floating.
I love it. Perfect answer. We like to close on dog answers. All right. Thank you, Ben, for this discussion, for your contributions to the internet and the great state of New Jersey. This is Ryan Perry saying, log off. The internet will be there when you get back.